Good morning. This is your 10 a.m. daily weather briefing. Clouds continue to stretch over the area today, although much drier and less windy than what we saw yesterday, and should see that maintain as we move through our working hours today. With outside of a brief light sprinkle or drizzle, we should stay mainly dry. Otherwise, we'll see continued cloudy conditions and just a slight breeze as we move through the day today, still contending with that now weakening area of low pressure centered just off to the southwest. We could see that here on the current surface analysis. Much of the precip associated with the system now well north and west of the area, and this should remain the case as we move through the next 24 hours. We will see this area of low pressure continue to weaken and move eastward, eventually off the coast over the next 24 hours. That will bring a slightly better chance of maybe a few light sprinkles or drizzle as we get into the evening time frame, but overall that chance still looks to be 20% or below as we move through the day today, and any precip we do see will be brief and fairly insignificant. Looking at the upper level winds from this morning sounding, we have some southeasterly to southerly winds as we move up through the column, and below 25,000 feet, all winds looking at or below 25 knots, and the freezing level this morning was at 12,500 feet. If we take a look at our current visible satellite and composite radar, we can see, as mentioned, that shower activity associated with this low well north of the Wallops area as well as well west of the Wallops area, and that should remain the case. The center of the circulation just here off to the southwest, and we're going to see it maintain that position through much of the day today before eventually moving eastward, and then otherwise seeing these clouds socked in over the area as well. High resolution models, see what we can expect for the next 48 hours. As mentioned, dry weather mainly as we move through the day today with just a slight chance of an isolated light sprinkle or drizzle. You can see the model not indicating much in the way of simulated reflectivity. So outside of that light sprinkle, I'm just expecting cloudy conditions to continue over the area. As we move into the evening time frame, we will start to see that center of location tracking eastward south of the Wallops area. That will slightly uptake the chance of a light sprinkle or shower, but otherwise still looking fairly insignificant with any precip that does occur. As you can see here, not much in the way of simulated reflectivity being shown here. As we move into the early morning hours of Thursday, we'll start to see the center of that rotation off to the east and gradually continuing to weaken. We will finally start to see a few breaks in the clouds as we get into the start of the day on Thursday, and as we move through the day on Thursday, continued improving trend as we'll see mostly cloudy conditions, a very slight chance of an isolated sprinkle, but overall dry conditions with clouds on the decrease as we move through the day, becoming partly cloudy by later in the day, becoming mostly clear overnight Thursday into the start of the day on Friday, with just a very slight chance of maybe some patchy fog around the area. So we zoom out and look at the longer term forecast here starting on Friday. Friday looks to be the nicest day of the week with temperatures back up into the 80s and sunny conditions, and then we'll see front drop into the region as we move into the day on Saturday. So it looks to be more of a backdoor front setup as high pressure settles in over the northeast. It's going to turn those winds once again onshore and cool the temperatures back down a bit. Model indicating some precip here, mainly some low level moisture, not expecting much in the way of precip on our Saturday. Do have a very slight chance of maybe an isolated shower on Sunday, but it looks to be a better chance at areas north of Wallops. Still seeing some onshore, slightly breezy flow, so we'll keep those temperatures back down into the 70s. And as we move into the start of next week, generally, right now things looking mainly dry. We'll see some clouds on and off around the area with what looks to be a continued onshore breeze, but not very strong the way things are looking right now, at least. We'll be watching for a stalled front off to our south. See how that moves as we move into the beginning of next week. Could very much dictate how the weather plays out as we move through that time period. So looking at the 24-hour weather risk chart for today, yellow risk for a isolated light sprinkle this morning, increasing to a green risk as we move through the afternoon, and then we'll continue to keep a yellow risk as we move through the evening and first part of the overnight time frame. Again, not expecting any significant precip, just a drizzle at times, fairly brief, or a light sprinkle Otherwise, things looking mainly dry and cloudy. We'll see ceilings right around 1,500 feet through much, if not all of the day, and then dropping down to 1,000 feet at times, particularly as we get into the later portion of the afternoon and evening time frame. We do pick up a yellow risk for reduced ceilings and visibilities during that time frame for that better chance for some lower cloud bases there. Otherwise, seeing our winds out of the southeast, south-southeast, 8 to 13 knots, so peak winds up around 18 knots. So overall, just a slight breeze today. We'll see our high temperature around 72 degrees. Going through the overnight, we'll see our low temperature bottoming out around 62 degrees as we see those winds become light and variable as that low passes to our south, and then eventually shifting out of the north-northwest as that low passes off to our southeast, and staying fairly light as we move into the start of the day on Thursday. Tides are continuing to run about a half a foot to a foot above normal. We see that on the decrease as the onshore flow continues to weaken, and we see those winds start to shift. As we look into the extended forecast here, we'll see mostly to partly cloudy conditions on Thursday. Very slight chance of an isolated sprinkle. Temperatures back up to more seasonable into the mid to upper 70s. And then again, seeing decreasing clouds through today. We'll see mostly sunny and nice day for Friday with fairly warm temperatures with a high expected up around 85 degrees. And then we'll see things cooling back down as we go into the weekend. With that slightly breezy onshore flow for Saturday and Sunday behind that front that pushes into the area on Saturday. Looks to see a mix of partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies later in the day on Saturday. We'll see mostly cloudy skies on Sunday. 15% chance of an isolated shower, but again, it looks to be more likely at areas north, and then a mix of partly to mostly cloudy conditions as we continue into the start of next week, and seeing those temperatures climbing back up into the more seasonable range in the mid to upper 70s, and overall seeing our low temperature staying in the low to mid 60s as we move through the extended forecast here. That's going to wrap up the 10 a.m. daily weather briefing. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8:15 and 10 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.